Hi people, Moina We've back here again as always and as usual. Yeah, I'm going to be covering another goetic spirit in this segment, which will be goetic spirit number 52, Alocas or Alloces. The 52nd spirit is Alocas or Alloces or Alocas or Alloces. I'll simply be using the former. I'll simply be pronouncing it Alloces. He is a duke, great, mighty, and strong, appearing in the form of a soldier riding upon a great horse. His face is like that of a lion, very red and having flaming eyes. His speech is hoarse and very big. His office is to teach the art of astronomy and all the liberal sciences. He bringeth unto thee good familiars. Also he ruleth over 36 legions of spirits. Now, there is a typo here in this copy of the Goetia. Instead of soldier, it says solider, but obviously it's supposed to be soldier. And then there is a small footnote at the bottom that says either soldier or warrior. And it says that his speech, with the part where it says that his speech is hoarse and very big, with the word big, there is also a footnote saying, thus expressed in the codices or in the codices, in the Latin graviter loquitur, he speaks harshly. Yeah, so they simply mean hoarsely or harshly, you name it, in an unclear manner. Okay, now that is it for Alloces. Now yeah, let's dive right in. First off, the appearance. You saw the thumbnail of this video. Alloces doesn't literally appear like that. I simply chose it because it looked cool and it was the closest I could come to, in a manner of speaking, to matching his appearance. He appears as a medieval knight on a steed, on a mounted steed, and a lion's face is essentially in a transparent-like manner behind him, but in such a way, since it's transparent, that it appears both in the front as well as in the back without disrupting your view of him in terms of his facial features, which are not present, because again, he's a knight completely clad in armor, like typical medieval knight on a steed, like royal cavalry and all. But there is like a transparent lioness, like the ghost of a lion essentially, like hovering around him, that sometimes manifests into a full-blown lion, and it simply runs around a bit, like usually runs a circle around me and then, you know, disappears back into him and resumes its transparency or transparentness. Now, he doesn't need to speak hoarsely. He speaks the way you would expect someone, a soldier in a harness, to speak, like muffled, like hello, 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 hello. But not to the point where you can't understand him. You can understand everything clearly, unless you're hearing impaired, in a manner of speaking, or something else is metaphorically wrong with you. Now, let's go over the specialties. But before I go over the specialties, let's cover his attributes and all the other things relating unto him. He is unsurprisingly solar. When I saw the appearance, I thought to myself, oh boy, it would not surprise me if you're solar. And I do my research and bing, there you go. I'm like, oh, see, he's solar. He corresponds to Leo, the zodiac sign Leo, specifically 28 degrees. That degree emphasizes abundance. As a matter of fact, I have a tattoo of that on my thingy, on my right arm. It's here with the 28 degrees in the middle and everything. People that still know me, the degree is written right here. I simply love the power that brings along. I've had this for years, like ever since 2019. If I'm not mistaken, 2019, 2020, 2019, I think. In any case, I'll wait until the end screen. I'll leave it there. Yeah, he is solar, and yet he has a considerably strong mercurial influence, specifically aligning with the zodiac sign Virgo. And once again, I'm reminding people about the strong bond from a neutral perspective that the Sun and Mercury have with each other. In a manner of speaking, strictly, in the strong bond, hypothetically speaking, in the sense that they have a lot in common to the point where they, in the past, have been confused with each other. I already covered this in the past. That's why sometimes solar spirits are confused with mercurial spirits and mercurial spirits with solar spirits, so vice versa. For example, the two archangels ruling over the aforementioned, Raphael and Lord Michael, or Michael. Confusion. Some people think that Michael is solar and Raphael is mercurial, when it's the exact opposite, the default. You know, I already covered this in a video back in the day. Anyways, that was a quick recap regarding Alloces. Yeah, so technically he is solar. You need to work by default with solar correspondences. So Sunday, gold is the corresponding element, blah 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 blah. But strictly technically, he has a slightly stronger mercurial influence. Like I said, Virgo specifically. And as for what is said about him in terms of a specialty, his office is to teach the art of astronomy and all the liberal sciences. And I see where they got that from, because they hypothetically made the mistake. It's not a mistake, but with their with their level of divinations and whatnot, with their divinations, they essentially saw somehow, by modern day standards, primitive divinations, of course, but that's non-applicable. In any case, with what they did in terms of figuring out his attributes, or thinking his attributes, or classifying, classifying, or simply coming up with his attributes, they saw that, for example, there is a considerable level of Virgo or similar, and they thought, oh, okay, so he's mercurial, because obviously Mercury rules Virgo. But no, officially he is solar, and it doesn't surprise me. The appearance, a lot of another goetic spirit, Zipar, that I've researched in detail, that I have 2 videos on, Zipar and Zipar in detail. He reminds me a lot of Zipar. Only difference is that Zipar, he said, Zipar says, thanks for the shout out, Master Moino. Yeah, thanks Zipar. The only difference is that he's mounted on a horse, obviously, and whatnot, and the other differences I mentioned. Yeah, so officially he is solar, but again, considerably strong mercurial influences. As for what is written, no. I see where they came up with that specialty, but no, that's not his specialty, and that's not Alloces' specialty. Alloces' specialty simply stands for improving someone's quality of life as a whole, specifically in the following departments, all things relating unto Virgo. So think working conditions and circumstances, being of service to people, craftsmanship, becoming better at your job, or anything that you see as an art form, in a manner of speaking, but specifically, only hypothetically speaking, an art form, something relating unto work in any case, something that you do for a living, or that you do that can potentially bring a living, simply something that you define or classify as work to make you better. Okay, a specialist, if you will, a specialist maker. Now, let me see what else is the case for the rest. Physical health as well, as in can help you with physical health. And Alloces is quite powerful, very powerful, in the sense that he will bring about a lot. That's where the 28 degrees in Leo comes into effect. He'll bring about a lot of this stuff, like a lot of the aforementioned things for you. Quite potent. He would be a great spirit to work with for especially a beginner, for example. Someone that doesn't have too much in the way of specialties or faculties. Now, the only drawback is, and again, typical solar spirit, because even the Greater Key of Solomon, the Order of the Pentacle, says this when it comes to solar spirits. And if I'm not mistaken, the first pentacle of the sun. In any case, it's mentioned, and it's general knowledge, honestly, occult-wise, that solar spirits have a tendency to be arrogant and proudful. They have a lot of pride about themselves. Now, the only drawback is that when working with Alloces, he has that characteristic and will pass it on to you or down to you, which is the following. He will, let's just say that, for example, if despite, let's just say, how do I put this? Despite, let's just say that you work with him and you had an objective in mind, and the objective was not a success, despite all of the aforementioned and you doing everything right and whatnot. Alloces, both Alloces and you, because of course his energy will flow through you, to put it that way, or you'll simply make use of the energy, he'll just bestow this level of denial upon you, you know, out of sheer pride, typical solar pride. I was like, yep, that's a typical solar trait from a solar spirit. Okay, essentially Alloces refuses to acknowledge any shortcomings, like, okay, yeah, you know, this could have been done better, that could have been done better. Like, no, he'll do so only in a constructive way, but never to openly point the finger to himself and say, you know what, I could have done this better, I could have done that better. And that will be the same thing with you as the operator when you work with him. You're going to excuse your own shortcomings if there were any within this context of any venture or objective you try to accomplish. You're just going to say, you know what, no, you're going to try to blame everyone but yourself. And when I say blame, I mean that not literally necessarily. It's hypothetically again. That's the only drawback in working with Alloces. But for the rest, yeah, doesn't surprise me that he's so potent from a neutral perspective. Solar Spirit. Now, last but not least, Alloces is a fallen angel, and he still prefers the aforementioned appearance. Because it's simply more aesthetically pleasing, he says, from a neutral perspective towards anyone that wants to work with them. And I could immediately also sense that usually, for example, an angelic appearance, because I saw his angelic form, and it's an angel with the colors yellow and red, typical quote unquote generic looking angel, like a Caucasian looking blonde man with robes of white with the colors yellow and red as an outline, as well as just energetically around him. And he says that this form is too generic in a manner of speaking. And I could tell, because the former, the default form he takes on, the mounted knight on the steed, in all honesty looks cooler, considerably cooler. And especially to neophytes and or novices, etc. I mean, the angelic form is nice by default, but it's a default form, okay? Angels have a cookie cutter like appearance. Not all of them, but a good deal of them. Yeah, anyways, he's a fallen angel. He used to belong to the Order of Virtues. I repeat, the Angelic Order of Virtues. That's who he belongs to. And he officially falls under the Archangel Raphael, ruler of the sun, so unsurprisingly. And Michael also pitches in a manner of speaking, when it comes to, for example, the affairs where Virgo enter the fray or come into the equation or enter the equation, and so on and so forth. And that is all. Bye bye.